I'd like to now turn to Senator Collins, who is also the ranking member on the subcommittee on FUD and also comes to us as the former ranking member on Homeland Security. You bring a lot to the table and look forward to your questions.
Thank you very much, Madam Chairman. It's very difficult to follow the eloquence of my colleague from Iowa. The fact is, however, I believe we do have a spending problem, and the $16.4 trillion debt is ample evidence of that, and I say that as one who supported increasing taxes on our highest earners. The fact is there's plenty of blame to go around for the crisis that we find ourselves in, but there can be no doubt that these indiscriminate cuts represent an utter failure to set priorities. And we simply cannot allow sequestration to go into effect. If we do so, we might as well just pack up and go home. Because if we're just going to have across-the-board cuts, what is the point of our being here? So I hope we can work together to come up with alternatives. Secretary Carter, I want to follow up on a point that you made, because the ramifications of sequestration are extreme. But in my judgment, for the Department of Defense, a year-long continuing resolution also would inflict tremendous damage on the department. For example, Congress has authorized the Navy to procure 10 destroyers during the next 5 years as part of last year's Defense Authorization Act. The Navy already has the bids for these ships in hand. The Navy's ready to sign, but the Navy cannot sign these contracts without an appropriations bill. Now, here's the point. We risk throwing away significant savings on the order of hundreds of millions of dollars, as well as jeopardizing the stability of the shipbuilding industrial base that we've worked so long and hard to preserve if we do not complete work on the FY13 appropriations bill. So, Dr. Carter, do you agree that it is essential and equally important that we not only deal with sequester, but pass the defense appropriations bill for this year?
It is. They are, both of them, separately, but together very much so, destructive. The problem with shipbuilding goes like this. I've referred earlier to the fact that in the CR we have inadequate operations and maintenance dollars, which is why the effect of the CR hits us so fast, so hard in training. But separately, to your point, we also need the authority to embark on new starts. And the way shipbuilding is organized, every new ship is a new start. So we're in the absurd position where we're 5 months into the fiscal year and we have the authority to build the ships that we built last year and no authority to build the ships that we plan to build this year. That's crazy. And that has nothing to do with sequester, by the way. That's the CR, which is a whole other problem. As I said, we have both of them.
To address. We can't just do sequestration, and I know I've had this same conversation with Secretary Napolitano as well. Secretary Duncan, I've met with superintendents, principals, educators from Maine who tell me that my state alone would face up to $11 million in cuts in education funding. That could reduce funding for critical programs such as Title I, special education grants, TRIO program, rural education. What does the Department of Education intend to do to help schools that are hardest hit by sequestration if this goes into effect? For example, could you shift the focus of some of your competitive grant programs, such as Race for the Top, which I know is your favorite, to help fill the gap in education spending?
Race to the top, the money we spent represented less than 1% of spending on K-12. That was $4 billion. We spend $650 billion, so it's a little more than 0.5%. So to think somehow we could shift a small number of dollars to fill the hole here just doesn't make sense. The numbers don't work. And so again, the damage here would be irreparable. There's very little to anything I can do to cushion that blow. And again, that's why it's so important your leadership and others do the right thing here. I wish I had a magic wand to wave. I simply don't have that, and I'd be lying if I told you otherwise.
Thank you. And finally, just a comment for Secretary Carter. You made such an important point about the federal civilian workforce. I think too often it's thought of as white-collar employees who are working with inside the Beltway. Senator Shaheen and I know about the Portsmouth Naval Shipyard in Kittery, Maine. These are welders, nuclear engineers, pipe fitters who are going to work at a pier. These are the firefighters who put out a very dangerous fire on a nuclear submarine. So I think we need to keep that in mind as well. Thank you, Madam Chairman.
Thank you.